Hey everybody, welcome to another one of my Civilization 6 videos. In this video, I'm going to do a way too early review on Civilization 6, which comes out in about a month on October 21st, 2016. But before I get started, I want to be clear about one thing. The gameplay shown in this video and that I'm reviewing is solely based on gameplay shown by the development team and through the game's social media accounts. Many aspects are subject to change by the time the game is actually released. That is why this is called the way too early review. I will be scoring this based on my hype for each topic or for the game as a whole. And I will be scoring it on a meter called the hypometer. And on a side note, if this is something you guys would like to see more of for other games, please leave a like so I know, and also comment on which game you would like for me to do next. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So for those of you who do not know what Civilization 6 actually is, let me go ahead and tell you about it. As by the title of the game, this is the 6th installment of this game. Now there have been many more spin-offs, but I'm talking about the original series here. It is a turn-based strategy 4X game that focuses on the building of a civilization through each era of time and the future. The game features many aspects of managing your civilization, such as your military, building wonders, science or technology, your economy, and most recently, religion. The ability to manage so many facets of the civilization is what draws its audience. So to review any game, you must look at its core features, its gameplay mechanics, what's old and what's new. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad of each of these features and kind of tell you my hype level for each of them. So the first thing I want to talk about is what makes a civilization game a civilization game. And that is the ability to win in many different ways. Victories come from various methods instead of one linear approach like many other strategy games. And we see this come yet again in Civilization 6. In Civ 6, you can win in 5 distinct ways. That is military domination, a science victory, culture, or the newly added religious victory, or you can win with having the highest score by the end of the time. Now, diplomatic victory was in Civilization 5, and so far it seems to be that this victory has been dropped from Civilization 6. It could be in, but we haven't seen anything about it, but most likely it's not in or it's going to be added in DLC. So within each victory type are conditions and goals to be achieved, making each way to win vastly different from each other, and each playthrough different from the last time you played. Victories is one of my favorites about Civilization, and the addition of religion makes me even more hyped. However, the removal of diplomacy victory kind of takes that hype down a notch. No strategy game would be a good strategy game without war and combat. Civ 6 holds true to this by offering you the ability to build various types of troops that upgrade through each era and to attack and defend your civilization. Combat in Civilization 6 is just like its predecessors and features just one or a few units on a tile or hex. Combat in Civilization is not on a grand scale featuring hundreds of troops, but is more singular where the focus lays more on the type of units, terrain being fought on, and many other factors rather than a single mass of troops. However, it is still a very satisfying feat to outmaneuver and defeat your opponents. And for what Civilization lacks on a grand scale, it most definitely makes up for in strategy, which is ultimately the focus of the game. So let's have a look at what combat will look like in Civilization 6. One key difference we have seen this year regarding combat and war is the addition of a casus belli system. Seen in other strategy games, Civilization 6 finally adds it in. This ensures diplomacy remains important. We're going to talk about this later, and that a civilization must have good reasons for combat, which makes perfect sense. Another difference is the ability to unit stack. This is a step in the right direction, as we now have the ability to stack similar units up to 3, so they are not left alone and vulnerable. Combat is really fun in Civilization, and it appears to be the same in Civilization 6. The addition of the casus belli system. Combat is pretty fun in Civilization, and it appears to be the same in Civilization 6. The addition of the casus belli system really adds to the flavor of combat. Unfortunately, it is also dulled down with basic animations and minimal troop numbers. So my hype regarding combat is really not that high. Another core feature that returns in Civ 6 is the progression of technology gained by science. With each turn in Civ 6, time moves forward and so does your civilization. Just as in real life, as time moves forward, so does technology. In order to keep up with your opponents in tech and to gain better units and buildings, you must gain science. In my opinion, this is one of my favorite features of the game, because you actually get to visually see your civilization progress throughout the game and either pass or be surpassed by your enemy. This feature has seemed to not change much from previous years in this version. Much like combat, it seems to be very similar to the previous year, therefore my height must remain relatively low. Next up, we have diplomacy. Diplomacy, even though it may not make it into the game as a victory condition, will still play an important role in Civ 6, just as it has in the past. Relations with other civilizations and city-states will directly impact your Civ and the actions you may take. You can leverage your relations with other Civs in-game in order to better your position in the game, but it also can be used against you. But it is another core feature that has not changed much, and this is something I believe DLC will come into play in the future. One new thing about diplomacy is gossip. Gossip is a new feature in the diplomacy part of Civ 6. You gain intel through gossip and use this for diplomatic leverage, so to speak. This definitely enhances the diplomacy part in-game and makes it more of a tool than anything else. With diplomacy not being a victory condition, the element really takes a hit in my opinion. I just can't get that hyped over it because it will be useful in-game, but it won't be critical in my opinion. Religion appears to be the core mechanic with the biggest changes this year by adding it as an actual victory condition, as well as incorporating a religious combat system. This is super exciting because history has predicated itself on religion and has been the cause of most wars in the past. It is only right to have this displayed in Civilization, and this is the right step to take. I talk about this game mechanic in more detail in my religious combat video, so be sure to go check that out. In regards to this review, this is to me one of the better changes Civilization is making and adds another dimension and focus to gameplay, leaving us, the players, more options and more decisions to make, which is a good thing. So this is something I'm really excited about. Religion has played an important part in our history, and its introduction in Civ 6 raised my hype quite a bit. Yet again, another core feature coming back to Civilization is the building of your city, or city planning. This feature has also seen a major overhaul due to the fact that your city no longer has buildings sitting on a single tile, but will in fact encompass multiple tiles with the use of what's called now districts. Different districts will be built around your town hall that will upgrade your city. For instance, a naval district or a harbor will give your city the ability to build ships. There are several districts such as campuses, space centers, theater square, and many others in which you can specialize your city with. This is a big deal because a district's location will affect its output, as well as in combat it can become critical. For instance, you may not be able to take down an entire city, but if you can cut off the harbor of a city, then you simply cut off their ability to produce ships, which can help you navigate the coast more easily. Also, building wonders makes its way back into Civ 6. Wonders are very special buildings that take some time to build, but normally provide a specific and very rewarding benefit. Although they appear to work very similar as in the past, building them seems to be a bit more difficult, as they can only be built by specific locations or even with specific resources. This makes building wonders an important decision you must make. As a city builder fan, more decisions on the layout of my city really intrigue me, and this is a good step for Civilization. The use of districts adds uniqueness to cities, thus the hype bar is raised. Trading seems to be very similar in what we saw in the DLC for Civilization 5. With the creation of units, you can create and sustain trade routes with other civs and city-states. These will yield differently based on each city. One major change to this system is that trade routes are what creates roads in Civilization 6, which will make trading a key emphasis if you wish to move troops and other units faster. Lower that hype bar. The user interface, like many of the features we have talked about, are built on from the past, but it too has seen some vastly different changes. For instance, Civ 6 will have a strategic view in a 2D hex map mode, as well as map overlays called lenses. These lenses will show different data like filters. Current lenses are continent, appeal, settler, government, and political. The top bar of the user interface will carry the most important information, which are science, culture, faith, currency, trade routes, and resource counters. It's also going to show the turn count, the current date, and even a real-time clock, which is a new feature. On the left second row will be the different areas of the game, such as government, religion, great people, great works, and your Civlopedia, which is an in-game wiki. Now on the bottom, we will see a mini map with controls of the map lenses we just discussed. Also, a new feature that is added is the map pin. This lets you place markers on the map. A really good feature if you ask me. Then on the right side, we see our actions available based on what we have selected in-game and what needs to be accomplished before the next turn, exactly like Civilization 5. In Civ 6, we are introduced to a new day-night cycle, which goes along with the earlier mentioned real-time clock. This feature adds more realism in-game, and honestly, it looks gorgeous. So these are very nice additions with a different look, but all in all, it results into about the same look as Civilization 5. So my hype is raised a little bit, about as high as an elephant can jump. Another minor change, but actually will seem major, is the change of Fog of War. It has seen an upgrade in this installment. The entire map of unexplored territory appears as a parchment map and is revealed only once explored. This ties into the graphics, which is one of the major changes and very controversial for Civilization 6, and we're going to talk about that. There are many key features that are in Civ 6, but these are what makes Civilization, and that's the Fog of War. Me personally, I actually really like the map parchment look. It ties into the new graphics well. Much hype, very much hype. Now, introducing the granddaddy change of them all, the one with the most hate, graphics. You either love it or you hate it. The graphics in Civ 6 has seen the biggest change from previous installments and has brought up a lot of controversy. I go into detail and my opinions on this in another video called Civ 5 versus Civ 6, where I really compare the key differences between the two. So go check that out if you're interested in learning more. However, for this video, I'm just going to discuss it on a review basis. Graphics are a must in any review, so that's why I'm talking about it. The art style in Civ 6 is more of an animated style. The reasons for this, as stated by the devs, is this allows for more unique details with the units and buildings than seen in past versions. For someone who has never touched a Civilization game before, the graphics are going to be very fitting for the game itself. And as a new user to the game, I can only imagine it would be enjoyable. It is the fans of the past that will have to make the biggest adjustment from a realistic graphical setting to a more animated setting. So you're either going to hate it or you love it. For me, the more I watch the game, the more the graphics grow on me. I have a feeling this will be similar to a lot of you. However, this is definitely has upset a lot of people. So I think this keeps the hype the same in my opinion. The beauty of Civilization is the ability to choose from many different civilizations, each with their own uniqueness. This adds variety to the game, making each session feel like different choices need to be made, and no session will ever be alike. This is a critical feature needed in any strategy game for replayability aspects. The game comes with 19 civilizations, each with its own unique unit, building, and leader, giving it a specific focus in game. These varieties, in combination with the victory types, make Civilization a very replayable game. If you want to learn more about each civilization and leader, please check out my Analyzing Each Civilization series, where I go over each civ in detail. Also, with random hidden traits of leaders in civs, the predictableness of civs is no longer in-game, due to the fact that any leader or any civ could have a random trait that makes them act differently than the last time you played them. This is a great implementation in my opinion. This installment has really changed the leaders in civs up. Lots of new civilizations and old ones with new focuses. I really like the changes and think the additions have been great. I can only hope that they allow for multiple leaders for each civ, but for what we know right now, my hype is moderately higher due to the new civs and leaders. Because this is a way too early review and the game is yet to be out, let's go ahead and discuss the pre-order packages. Currently, there are 3 bundles available for pre-order. With any pre-order, you gain early access for 90 days to the Aztec civilization. Check out my Analyzing Civilizations Part 1 for more details on the Aztecs. So the bundles are Standard, Digital Deluxe, and the 25th Anniversary Edition. In the Standard pre-order package, it's $59.99 USD. You get the full game and the early access to Aztecs. In the Digital Deluxe Edition, it is $79.99 USD. It comes with the full game, early access to the Aztecs, the 25th Anniversary Digital Soundtrack, 4 post-launch DLC packs that add new maps, scenarios, leaders, and civilizations. So this confirms DLC. And the last bundle that we know so far is the 25th Anniversary Edition. Full game, early access to Aztecs, all the content from the previous bundle, Digital Deluxe, as well as the Civilization Through the Years 100-page hardcover art book, and the 25th anniversary commemorative coin set with display case. Nothing here gets me too excited, guys. No hype change. DLC has been a part of the gaming scene for a while now, and it appears to be here to stay. Civilization has used DLC in the past, and based on the bundles we just mentioned, DLC will be available for Civilization 6. The good news is that the past DLC has drastically added more content to the games and hasn't seemed to be a complete waste of money. However, it is yet to be confirmed what DLC will be added to Civ 6, and knowing that you're not getting all the content possible for the original purchase price of the game does take away from the hype. So I definitely didn't cover every little aspect of the game, but I covered the big changes, some things we haven't talked about before, and things that I really think affect whether you should be excited about this game or not. So how hyped am I about this game overall? Civilization is the pinnacle of strategy games, and it seems that Civ 6 is building on that foundation and really hasn't taken any missteps. On a broad spectrum, considering all genres, my final way too early review hypometer score would be around a 8. With great core mechanics that are established and proven, this game has great promise. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video informative and useful, please subscribe and like for more content like this. Once I get my hands on the game, I will post my final impressions on the game as well. But for now, I will see you all in the next video.